Hey y'all, it's Beck back, and I just finished the second arc of Kingdom. Like I said, it's been a joy going through every chapter with all the characters and learning so much about the world and the actual logistics of battle. It's been quite a challenge, actually, especially for somebody that doesn't really like reading. But this has been very eye opening and just wanting to understand the world a lot more, and especially the names. The names are really getting me sometimes, but it's still a very enjoyable read. So after helping out Issei, Shin and Tien decide to basically become roommates and make a living for themselves, as well as preparing Shin for his next battle, which is his first official campaign. Tien decides to stay back, but they believe in Shin and they know that he's gonna make it back. As part of the Fourth Army of out of six, heading towards Kyiv, Shin encounters his comrades, and some are pretty friendly, some not so much. Shin is very inexperienced in actual battle tactics and learning formations and not even knowing what a go means. Basically, a go is one squad leader with four other soldiers, and basically they just have each other's back throughout the entire battle, the ups and downs, from just bunking together, traveling, and especially in fighting. The go system is a very integral part of the battlefield. From bunking together to traveling and fighting, especially, the go system is very integral in battle and very much important to the formations. Shin's go is consisted of Taku, which is the squad leader, B2 and B-He, the Bai brothers, and the very mysterious Q Kai. Q Kai is probably a lot younger than Shin, and from first glance, they might be inexperienced, but come to find out they're very integral in this battle. While marching, Shin is reacquainted with Heki, who has become a 1,000-man commander. First, the Fourth Army was headed towards Gon Castle, but were then rerouted to join up with the First and Second Army to head towards Asui. Not long after that, Gon Castle is completely massacred and taken over by the Wei soldiers. They're once again rerouted to Donkin Plains, where they're gonna head up with the Wei army head on, with Duke Q being the commander-in-chief of the Quen army. Before the chaos starts, the army is grouped into 1,000-man armies, and Shin's basically his commander is named Baku Koshin, a very fierce general in his own right, and someone that ends up being very important to this battle. Once in position, they're ordered to go straight into enemy lines, where they're met with pikemen. And just like Shin did at the gate back in the last arc, he leaps and jumps over some men and takes a bunch of them out, and that's able to help his 1,000-man group continue forward. And then comes the chariots. These chariots are no joke whatsoever, as they start mowing down troops and making their way through through the army. To stave off the chariots, Kyukai suggests that they make ramparts, which are made up of shields and the corpses of remaining men, and they're able to make 3 of them, which is able to stave off the chariots for now. Shin is able to take down one of the drivers of a chariot with a javelin, causing it to crash. He then finds a horse and then starts taking down the remaining chariots by aiming the javelin towards the wheels and making them flip, while also directing some survivors to go to the ramparts. And this is a huge advantage for the Fourth Army. Heki wants to send in the cavalry because he's not aware of what's going on with the Fourth Army and what their deeds have been, or how many have been sacrificed. But Baku Koshin decides that's not gonna happen because there hasn't been a signal change for the cavalry to even begin marching. Heki really wants to save lives, but Baku reminds him this isn't that type of battle, and he has complete faith in Dooku. Finally, they receive the report of the Fourth Army, and the Duke sends out the cavalry, and he orders them to take the hill. The cavalry's been sent out, and they're ordered to help take on the hill. Not wasting a single moment, Baku Koshin orders his men to form a wedge through the enemy lines, but the infantry starts getting behind as it's a struggle to keep up with the cavalry. This doesn't stop Shin though from helping out his comrades, even though he has a horse and can go even further into battle. Baku and his men are able to break through, and they're even more shocked that Shin and his comrades were able to make it through as well. With the ranks diminished, Baku wants to just forget about the infantry altogether and continue forward, and he actually encourages Shin to continue on without his infantry. Hesitant at first, Shin is reassured by Kyukai that they'll watch over the infantry while Shin continues forward. General Q decides to call upon the great archer Q Raiken, I believe, and he starts mowing down hella soldiers and even gets a hit in on Baku Koshin. Shin is able to shield Baku and deflect the arrows with his sword, but unfortunately his horse ends up getting an arrow to the head, but surprisingly the momentum leaps Shin upwards, and he's able to come down and cut down the archer. Baku decides to take on the general himself, even though he's severely wounded, and he ends up taking another fatal blow, but he ends up using his momentum to thrust his sword into General Q's neck. Just a few men left and no other real options. They decide to head down the other side of the hill, but they immediately see the Wei army waiting for them. Heki's group is really struggling to regroup with Baku's group, and all of a sudden Oki appears. Probably the most random, but I'm so glad it happened, cameo. just seeing him in his all his glory. Though he can't interfere in the battle, as is a strict policy if not summoned, but Uki just wants to watch the show, and the hill was the perfect spot for him to do that. While on top of the hill, Shin begins talking with Uki, who actually wanted to meet Shin after hearing from Shibun-kun. But he's somewhat disappointed in Shin after meeting him. And after some very humbling and eye-opening words from Uki, Shin decides that he wants to fight this guy, and without I'm not even sure how much time passed, but Uki already had his glaive to Shin's neck. Just showing the difference between the two in strength and skill is night and day, really. He then asked a very important question about how this battle is gonna end and who's gonna be the winner. Is it gonna be Goki's strategic military mind, or is it gonna be Dooku's brute instincts? This is an ongoing theme between generals, and which way is better, the being the smart or the brute, and both these are gonna come to head in this battle. So we're gonna see which one overcomes the other. Duke's cavalry makes it to the battlefield and instantly starts headed straight towards Goki's center formation. Goki switches formations, but it's to no avail, as just the morale of the army from the general is enough for them to break through. Goki decides to summon Maki and Shuki, two very talented individuals. Basically their job is to take out generals. Heki decides to lead a charge to help Dooku after misunderstanding Uki, who claimed that the efforts and struggles for soldiers mean nothing, and wanting to prove him wrong, that it's not just about generals that end up winning the battle. It's everybody, and of course Shin asks Uki for a horse so he can join in on the fight as well. To counter the Duke's charge, Goki decides to create an opening on the left and right flanks for the chariots, so that way they can diminish the number. Heki smartly decides to just take out the weaker generals. That way he can get on the other side of the chariots and sandwich them between Heki's group and Dooku. And this gives the Duke time to make it through. With Maki and Shuki waiting, Shin ends up running head first into him, but he's able to take out one of them, and the Duke's able to take out the other. Shin just keeps shocking me every time he does something crazy and ends up going his way. just the sheer effort from him. No other options, Goki decides to take on the Duke head on. Though he's known for his military genius, he ends up being a very fierce opponent for the Duke from years of pent-up rage and aggression from losing his kingdom. Though it was a small city and kingdom, the Duke says it's only natural for such a city to fall during a battle. And of course, this just riles up Goki even more, and it ends up being a really nice fight, drawn out, but unfortunately Dooku is able to to slay him down, and this ends the war. This was very chaotic. I ain't even gonna lie. just just the complete battle and the logistics of everything. It was very overwhelming at first, but once you get into the battle, it just really flows well, chapter by chapter. I also want to give a shout out to Q Kai, who was a standout as well during this battle. Though small, they pack a lot of punch. And it's always nice to see Uki. Anytime he's on panel, it's just glorious. Pretty looking forward to the next arc in this story. While this arc was very battle focused and very strategic, the next arc is actually pretty emotional, and I'm very much looking forward into reviewing it and looking back on it. But y'all let me know what you think of the KU campaign arc, and what was your favorite moment, what was your favorite character from it, what panel stood out. Let me know in the comments, and like the video, subscribe. Thank you to my viewers and my subscribers. We're really going at a steady pace, and I wouldn't change it for anything. But yeah, like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all later.